Okay, so this is the mindset video about how to get your mindset right and focused and positive in the midst of tragedy, of frustration, of anger when you're selling insurance and getting, in the midst of frustrating things. The reason I'm putting this video together is because, let's face it, if you've sold insurance for like a week, you know that the difficulty in this business isn't from the other agent out there or from the other competition. It's the stuff up in your head. And so we need to have a strategy on how to deal with us, because the worst competition in selling insurance, it's you, not the next guy. So how do you combat yourself? We're going to talk about that coming right up. My name is David Duford, owner of Duford Insurance Group, where I train and recruit agents nationally to sell things like final expense, Medicare, and annuities, both face-to-face and over the phone. Please make sure you check out if you're interested in joining. Click the links above or below. It's going to take you to my website. And certainly subscribe to my content and like it if you happen to enjoy it. Thanks so much for watching, as always. All right, so we're going to jump right in. We got 5 tips here to help you develop a top-level insurance agent mindset. So number 1 is develop short-term amnesia. This is a little secret I stumbled across in my agent days when I was full-time before I started my business recruiting and training agents. And it's the ability to forget all the crap you had to deal with the other day. And it's hard to do this, but you need to be focused every morning in the sense that every single morning that happens, every day you get up is a new day. There ain't nothing from what happened the other day that's going to affect you right now. Accept yourself, accept your mindset, right? Like what you bring into each appointment is the only variable that stays the same. But what happened the other day with the other leads and the other appointments has no bearing on what's going to happen with the next ones. So developing this ability to forget and think about the opportunity coming, thinking about what could happen as opposed to stewing over what did happen, is vital for success. Now, what really helped me do this, I think, looking back, is having preset appointments already set for me. I hired an appointment setter very early on in my career and always had one when I was selling final expense. And every single morning I would wake up and I knew where I was going. I knew how many appointments I had. I knew that they were interested because they had sent back these cards or requested information. And I knew out of this collection of appointments, I was definitely 95% of the time going to make sales that day. It was going to happen. It wasn't a question about, well, is it going to happen or not? I just knew the odds were in my favor. And when you have the odds stacked in your favor that something great's going to happen, you're going to make sales, guess what that does for your psyche? It makes you get tougher. It makes you get more positive. It helps you forget the bad stuff that happened the other day. So figure out how to develop some kind of focus on what opportunities lay ahead as opposed to what's happened that you can't change. Focus on what you can do, not what you missed out on. And I think, again, maybe for me it was setting appointments and knowing there was business in there. Maybe it's something different for you. Maybe it's something that's maybe you could consider is on a preset appointment basis on helping your mindset. All I know is that developing short-term amnesia makes a huge difference, and focusing on the good things to come, not the bad things that have already happened. Number 2, operate from a position of strength. This is vital. Okay, you see, there is an emphasis in this business to focus on the negatives, the shitty leads, excuse me. Sometimes they feel like that, right? Dealing with crappy prospects, not making sales, right? It's very easy to operate from a stance of weakness and complaining and being frustrated and upset. Well, one of the ways that you get out of that, as I've discovered, the agents that largely complain about those things, of which really truthfully we all deal with, agents who are good and not so good, the only way I've been able to get around that and help others get around it is help them recognize that the solution to these problems they have is not how do you get that to go away, but how do you do enough activity to where dealing with the crap doesn't nearly have the same impact. And this idea of operating from a position of strength comes from that. When I operate from a position of strength as an insurance agent, that means I've got tons of leads. I have too little time to work the leads that I've coming in. I've got so much going on that there's no way that I'm going to get to all of the opportunity on a daily or a weekly basis. And when I've got so much stuff coming in, so many leads, I'm going to have a ton of appointments. And I know when I've got tons of appointments, I've got tons of sales in there. Whereas the opposite of that is operating from a position of weakness, where you run a few appointments, you buy a few leads, and the no's you hear are so much worse than the no's you would hear if you had too many leads to work. So what you need to focus on from an applied basis here, guys, is get a lot of leads. This is why I recommend and advocate that you guys buy a bunch of leads, as much as you can handle, even more than you can handle as you start getting up and running and start getting used to the process, because having the stress of too many leads to deal with and too much sales going on, it's a good problem to have. It's way better than the opposite, which is too few leads, too few sales, and likely you failing the business. Number 3 is to associate with winners and not losers. And this is great advice, guys. You really have to be careful who you surround yourself with. This could be family, guys. This could be people you love, that you have, a relationship with, that are just negative people. And if you surround yourself or spend too much time with these people, they're going to bring you down to their level. This is very, very dangerous, and it's especially difficult, of course, when it's people you love that, they care about you, but they have this penchant of being negative about, your desire to be an entrepreneur and have your own business and take a chance on yourself. Try to get out from those relationships as much as possible. And sometimes it's impossible, I get it. But minimize the impact as much as you can. You are the people who you hang with, all right? We all know that, right? You have to associate with people who have or mirror the values you want to have or already have. And you need to disassociate with those people who don't have that as much as you can. This will make a huge difference. So, if you're associating with other agents who complain and moan about leads constantly, how terrible they are, you're letting this idea seep into your mind that may poison the well. These are very toxic people, and toxic is used all the time by everybody, but this is like legit. The stuff gets in your head. It poisons this mindset that you're trying to establish and strengthen. So you know who I'm talking about if this applies to you. Think about how you can minimize your involvement with them, and instead maximize your involvement with people who are actually experiencing success. Ask them, what are they doing to do so well? Most successful people love to share with you how they're successful, because many times they struggle before they're successful and they want to help. A lot of successful people have that. So hang with them. Don't hang with the losers. They will bring you down and you will not like it. Number 4 here on the list is read autobiographies of successful people. This is kind of related to tip number 3 here in a kind of third person sense. We certainly want to relate to and hang out with people who are successful in our personal one-on-one lives. But we also want to read about those people who were successful in their own time. The best tip of advice I got from Tony Robbins was read autobiographies of successful people. And what you'll notice is, if you're inquisitive and you notice patterns, you'll notice that most successful people aren't automatically immediately successful. In fact, very much the opposite. They struggle. They, have hard times in their lives, and they fight their way to the top of wherever they were in their industry. And so I would recommend starting with any kind of autobiographies of anybody that you admire, people in history that you've read about. Read about their struggles, read about their successes, how they got, and it doesn't even have to deal with business. It can just be historical figures that are revered by society. Look at their lives and see where they came from. It's incredible. The rise of their success in their lives, because it doesn't start that way. They start humble and they start low before they go high. So again, this is another way to embody in your mind, to imbue in your own mind that success and positive mindsets, there's a pattern to this, because once you read another book, you say, hey, that kind of happened to this other guy. And you start to make these connections. And for me, at least, it developed that understanding like, oh, this is the truth. Success is hard. It doesn't happen overnight. And it's something you got to apply yourself to, because that's the differentiating factor. There's no magic bullets. You just got to apply yourself over years and stick with it and be disciplined. That's the secret. And that's the hardest thing. It's the biggest open secret, but it's the hardest thing to actually execute. Last on the list here to get the top insurance mindset that you need to be successful is you got to really burn the bridges, guys. Don't sell final expense because you really want to do annuities. Don't get into this business of selling insurance because what you really want to do is be a personal trainer or to run in another business. Don't let this business be an avenue, a plan B. This has got to be your plan A if you actually want to be successful. If you're not totally vested in being successful in this business, you're going to fail. I know I was. I looked at final expense on some level back in the day as a way to get involved in other more potentially lucrative businesses like, I don't know, selling small business owners or something else. And I didn't take final expense completely and 100% serious like I should, and I failed and struggled because of it. And until I decided to completely dedicate myself to this business, this wonderful business of final expense, that's when I started getting successful. And likewise, if you don't do the same thing, you're likely going to experience the same fate I did. And I'd hate for you to do that. So what do? You go all in. You burn the bridges. There's no plan Bs. This is your plan A. Why would you be involved in this business if not for making this the best thing possible in your life as you can? Don't let this be some stopping point in a grander scheme of things. Let this be it. This is where you want to proceed, because the things that come from this business, I can tell you firsthand, are incredible. You're not going to get the same thing in so many other businesses like you can here when it comes to income, lifestyle, freedom, and in helping people with good products. It's incredible. It's worth your time and investment and commitment. So long story short, guys, the 5 tips that I have for you to help improve your mindset to be successful in the field, to get you completely dialed in and successful. Number 1, have short-term amnesia as quickly as you can. Number 2, operate from a position of strength, not from a position of weakness. Number 3, associate with winners, not losers. Number 4, read autobiographies of successful people throughout society and life. Notice the connections and the trends and familiarities they have as to what makes someone successful. And number 5, make sure you really burn the bridges, because that's what it takes to be successful, and that's what it takes to have the top mindset too. My name is David DeFord, owner of the Ford Insurance Group. Thanks as always for watching. If you want to learn about joining my agency, click the links above or below. We'll see you next time.